So this YouTuber killed at least 71 different people. Now the YouTuber's name is Pedro, and Pedro is 14 when this story starts, and he's living in Brazil. And the dude is young, but he apparently doesn't feel empathy the way you and I do. Like, he's kind of a psychopath. And one day in 1968, he gets some news that really pisses him off. His dad is working as a security guard, and some people accuse him of stealing food from the cafeteria. And then the town deputy mayor wants dad to be fired, and so bam, the school fires him. And this really upsets Pedro. Like, he can't just let this slide. So he then tracks down the deputy mayor in front of the town hall, and he pulls out a shotgun, and blam, he shoots him and he unalives him. Then he tracks down this other security guard who Pedro believes was really the one stealing the food from the cafeteria. And blam, he unalives him too. So after unaliving 2 people, he's now gotta go on the run. And he flees to another city about 3 hours away. And there he ends up meeting a local woman. And he thinks she kinda fine. And they move in together, and eventually he gets her pregnant. The thing is, this woman is actually the widow of a former drug lord. And so Pedro, he just kinda takes over her dead husband's drug business. And as the head of this drug business, he starts executing his rivals and whatnot. But one day, around 1970, when Pedro's not at home, I am assuming he's somewhere dealing drugs or unaliving people, who really knows? But while he's gone, some men from a rival gang break into his house, and blam, they unalive pregnant widow. And when Pedro finds her, he's obviously devastated. And he's not the kind of guy who's gonna let this slide. He's determined to find the people who are responsible. So he goes on a revenge killing spree, tracking down, torturing, and murdering all kinds of people, hoping to get to whomever it was that murdered pregnant widow. And he actually leaves like a whole trail of bodies behind him, Liam Neeson style. Now eventually, somebody finally snitches to Pedro and tells him that the people who murdered pregnant widow were a local drug gang. So Pedro and 4 of his homies pull up to a wedding that the leader of that drug gang had organized. And Pedro and his boys are armed. And blam, 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 they spray the whole place with bullets. And they unalive 7 people and injure 16 other people at the wedding. Oh, but Pedro's not done murdering yet. A few months later, he finds out that his cousin got pregnant by some guy, and now the baby daddy is refusing to marry her, and the dude even runs away to avoid having any part in the child's life. And Pedro, he ain't having none of that deadbeat dad nonsense, so he pays the dude's family a visit and asks where the guy's at. And they tell him that he's now living in Rio de Janeiro, and for some reason they give him the exact address that the guy is living at. So Pedro goes to Rio, and he finds the guy chilling on a farm in a hammock, and Pedro doesn't say a single word to the guy. They just open fire on each other. Blam, blam, blam. And the other guy ends up dying. Now at this point, years have gone by. It's 1973, and Pedro's 18 years old now. And remember, he's still a fugitive on the run since his first murder back in his hometown. Well, somehow police end up finding him, and bam, he gets arrested. And he immediately confesses to 10 different murders, and he gets sentenced to 128 years in prison. But his killing actually doesn't stop here. At some point, Pedro is being transported in a prison van, and he's in the back seat with another inmate. That inmate was convicted of essaying a woman, and Pedro hates guys who essay women. So, sort of randomly, boom, he attacks the guy, and he strangles him to death right there in the vehicle. I mean, he's already in prison for life, so he might as well just keep murdering. So from here, while he's locked up as a prisoner, Pedro continues to murder his fellow inmates. But, he mostly kills other murderers and drug dealers and people who committed crimes against children. Basically anyone who he thinks does evil things. Like Dexter. But it's not just that he kills evil people. Like at one point, he also murders his own cellmate because his cellmate was snoring too much. Like, Jesus, dude. Anyway, at one point, he becomes friends with this other inmate, and then he finds out that the reason the guy is in prison was because he unalived his own sister. And even though Pedro considers this guy a friend, he still has, this code of ethics that he lives by, where he has to kill bad people. So he beheads this inmate friend of his with a knife. Another time, someone informs Pedro that a few inmates are planning on jumping him. So he buys a knife off a prison guard, and when he goes out to the courtyard one day, suddenly, boom, he gets ambushed and jumped by 5 inmates. And with his knife he just bought, bam, bam, he stabs 3 of the inmates and kills them. So some more time passes, and Pedro's like 20 years old now. And his dad, who is living on the outside, because both his parents are still alive, his dad is apparently a violent guy too. And I guess one day he gets into a fight with Pedro's mom, and he takes a machete and he kills her. And so police arrest him, and he's found guilty, and now dad goes to prison, and he just happens to be sent to the same prison as Pedro, but in a different section of the prison. And when Pedro hears the news about his dad taking out his mom, he's like, well, I guess I gotta kill my dad now. So he allegedly bribes some guards to let him over to the other section of the prison, the section where his dad is, and he tells the guard that he just wants to meet up with his dad and talk. So the guards let him in, and he goes right to his dad's cell, and he pulls out a shank, and pow, he stabs his dad over and over again until his dad is unalived. Then he removes his heart from his dad's chest, and he takes a bite of it and chews it. But I'm not even sure if that's the craziest part. Because here's the craziest part. In Brazil, they have a maximum sentence law. So during this time, no matter how long your prison sentence is, you're only required to serve a maximum sentence of 30 years. After that, the system is required by law to release you. So fast forward to 2007, and Pedro is 52 years old now. And that's exactly what happens. Even though he was convicted of 71 murders, including people he killed on the inside, Pedro gets released. But see, he can't keep his shit together for long because, he's just not that kind of guy. So in 2011, he's arrested again, and he goes back to prison. But then in 2018, he gets out again, and he's like 64 years old now. Now at this point, the guy sort of becomes a local legend. I guess he becomes known for killing so many bad guys. And so Pedro decides to start a YouTube channel. And he sort of becomes a YouTuber. He makes vlog type videos, and he posts videos of himself hanging out and just doing stuff. He finds religion, here's a video he posted of himself getting baptized. He also makes a TikTok account where he now has 400,000 followers. Damn, Pedro. He also goes on podcasts and does interviews and stuff. And here he talks openly about his past crimes, and he tries to encourage people to live a better life than he did. However, unfortunately for Pedro, soon enough, his past actions catch up to him. Because one morning in 2023, he's at a relative's house hanging out on the porch, and suddenly a black car pulls up and 2 masked men get out and blam, 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 blam. One of the men shoots him 4 times, and then they take a knife and they finish the job. And so Pedro is unalived. And to this day, police, they never found who his killers really were or why exactly Pedro was targeted. But I assume it has, something to do with his past.